Arctic Monkeys are back. ASAP Rocky is everywhere. Canadian indie rock is having a moment. You can now get your own scores on Pitchfork, and it was a busy week for hardcore. I'm Dave, I'm here with Andrew, and we'll be talking about all this and more on today's episode of BV Weekly. So rumors of hardcore's demise have been greatly exaggerated, partially
Rumors
by me.
started by who?
I've been a little negative about where hardcore is post-turnstile stuff, but 2026 really has me energized again about hardcore, I will say. And that is for a few reasons, starting with Annual Fest FYA reportedly had their biggest attendance yet last weekend in Orlando. And leading up to it, I was a little not as excited about who was playing like I was in previous years, which has kind of added to my thought that like the levels of caring have gone down a little. But like post the fest, now I'm like all into it, trying to catch up on what happened. And 2020, one thing that happened is 2025 Hardcore Band of the Year, Haywire, who obviously we've been super excited about, had the biggest crowd at the fest, which also featured big sets by legends like Hatebreed, giants like Drain and Fleshwater, Mind Force, who play every year, have a giant set every year, Gorilla Biscuits, Big Boy, Kickback, who are back. It's been kind of like an interesting reunion and more. And near and dear to my heart, End It, off the strength of their long-awaited record that we called one of the best of 2025 in all genres, started 2026 off strong, not only with also a big set at FYA, but also a tour around it with their Bangkok-based flat spot label mates Whispers. And this tour has seen them selling out big venues, including in Philly and Brooklyn. Their Philly show also featured rising post-hardcore / metalcore I Promise the World, whose own separate tour and FYA set. And I heard huge FYA merch line have been popping off along with the release of their much talked about self-titled EP on Rise Records last week. Revolver Magazine just did a fan poll for the band most likely to take off in 2026. I Promise the World topped that list, not surprisingly,
No
honestly.
surprise. When I saw that poll, my first get, I was like, I didn't vote, but I was like, I Promise the World is first thing that came to mind.
Yes, and that same night that End It packed elsewhere here in Brooklyn last Friday, they not only was it freezing out, they also did it on the same night in the same neighborhood that the other biggest New York City hardcore show of the month happened. The one that I went to, it was a tough decision, but the one that I went to, which was Civ, who played their classic album 31 years, celebrating 31 years of Set Your Goals at Brooklyn Bowl on a bill with fellow legends Into Another and Orange 9mm, along with comparatively newer bands like Rule Them All, also on Flat Spot, and Method of Doubt. The scene was truly split between two shows that night, but people came out in force. So it was very heartwarming. It has felt like the excitement for hardcore is here again.
Yeah, I mean, I'm jealous that you saw Civ. I know they were celebrating Set Your Goals, which is an amazing album, and the whole bill is stacked. But I'm especially jealous that you were seeing Method of Doubt, because I didn't even realize that they were going to be in New York. I think we talked about this recently, but how they just they broke up after releasing their debut record, and then recently reunited, came back with an awesome EP. They're from Florida, but I like, it wouldn't surprise me if they just kind of played relatively locally. So I didn't even totally know until like you told me you were going to this show that Method of Doubt were playing all the way up here. How were they?
They were good, and the crowd was into them for sure. And I mean, obviously this was an old guy show. The three kind of co-headliner, well, Civ was the headliner, but Civ, Into Another, Orange 9mm, all old guy bands. But Scanlon, of course, added three younger bands to open. The funny thing about Method of Doubt, and yes, that was like a rare appearance. We were like, whoa, what? They're coming on this show. I guess they came all the way from, I didn't check their touring schedule, but came all the way from Florida for this one. Like you said, they disappeared for some years. Speaking of the turnstile effect, it's like they put out that album. We loved it. And then just in time to like miss the turnstile effect, they disappeared completely.
Yeah, I kind of was grouping them mentally when they first came out with like Anxious and One Step Closer. And then those bands got kind of like legit big and Method of Doubt broke up.
Yeah. So now that things have calmed down and hardcore's a little more underground, they're back. And yeah, no, they were good. They had like some hardcore people that knew the words when they stuck the mic in the crowd, and it was fun.
Well, let me ask you, because you meant, yeah, like, like you said, this was kind of the old guy show, but what was the crowd's kind of demographic, like age wise?
I mean, it was heavy on old guys for sure. I mean,
Okay.
Civ played all of Set Your Goals. It's a 31-year-old album. Into Another, Into Another aren't even really having a moment. So you almost have to be an old guy to like be into them. I guess that's true of, well, you could say that about many bands, but
Orange Nine are popping off thanks to being included in Brooklyn Vegan's albums that influence new metal video.
very true. So this is,
Um, Let me interrupt you though for a second, because one of the things that was like giving me so much joy about Gorilla Biscuits played FYA, right? They or did they?
yes.
Yeah, okay. So I was watching footage of Gorilla Biscuits from FYA, which did kind of go at least viral enough that I saw it just by opening Twitter and it was in my For You. So I'll call that viral. And
Well,
like,
that's good to hear.
yeah. And I was just thinking, like, here's a crowd of people stage diving, moshing, yelling along to these songs from 1988 and 1989, and they all look 20. Like, and it just kind of felt like this amazing thing where you're like, there's something really unique about hardcore in that way, I think, because I don't know how common that is for a band to be playing songs that are 37 years old, and most people in the audience are half of that age. You know what I mean? Like, it's like yeah, they're an old guy band. They have fans who saw them back in the day who still like them, but they kind of like, since reuniting, like they've just kind of gone with the new generation of hardcore, and they just keep getting every new generation's fans like Gorilla Biscuits and go get to have their experience with them. And I just thought it was a beautiful thing.
Yeah. And that is awesome. So that reminds me too. Yeah. Like so much of that show. So first of all, Civ is all Gorilla Biscuits members, basically. Gorilla Biscuits member Walter Schreifels wrote Set Your Goals, which was the album that they were celebrating and played, and which is awesome. But he didn't actually play in the band because of his quicksand obligations at the time. He also didn't play at Brooklyn Bowl because, side note, there's a new book out of Rick Froberg's art, Rick being the late vocalist and guitarist of Drive Like Jehu, Hot Snakes, Obits, and Pitchfork. And to promote that book release, they put together like panels and tribute shows in New York City and Philly, maybe somewhere else, that featured Walter, Ted Leo, and others. And so those just happen to happen the same time as this Civ show. So yeah, Walter wasn't even in attendance, let alone playing.
Hmm.
But everybody, the main four members of Civ that were on stage are the same four other guys that aren't Walter that just played in Gorilla Biscuits at FYA and who have been playing in Gorilla Biscuits forever. Yeah, they had a few special guests. Guy from Wisdom in Chains of Chains.
Wisdom of Chains, right?
Yes.
Wait, now hold on.
Oh man.
Wisdom in Chains, yeah,
Yes.
in, right, yeah. Now I'm all like confused. Go on.
He was one of the people that came out and played like bongo or whatever drums with his hand during Can't Wait 1 Minute More, which is the big hit. A lot of people know Civ just for that song. I think like if you don't really follow the hardcore of the time, no, you could know Civ as a one-hit wonder. That
Hmm.
video played on MTV like crazy. And it famously features Lou from Sick of It All on a part. And Lou's part was done by him after he played bongos. So that's like kind of the most growly, scary, hardcore part of the song and maybe even the album. Although it is like a hardcore
Although there's
album.
not much scary, growly hardcore on the Civ album.
No, that's what I mean. That's
Yeah,
that
yeah,
part. Yeah. It's
right.
okay, call it the only part. Whatever. Yeah. Anyway, and then Into Another, who such a special band, such a weird, gloriously weird, also heavy and hardcore scene band, but just like alt rock. Just no one sounds exactly like Into Another. And getting the chance to see them on this bill was super special. I also went to see them in 2024, another rare show they played in New York City, which was also with this version of Orange 9, and which also had Civ in attendance because it was a show that he put on the roof of Terminal 5 in 2024. So now I got to see both of those. Orange 9 who it's actually the third time I've seen Orange 9mm since they came back. The second time was when they opened for Quicksand and Refused at Brooklyn Paramount, which another Civ/Walter connection there. So, yeah, Orange 9 just keep getting better each time since they're back. This new version of reunited/new version of Orange 9mm. So, all right, not hardcore at all. A$AP Rocky, the new album, Don't Be Dumb, out now. People thought it would never happen.
Yeah, and meanwhile, it kind of feels like the first event album of the year. Well, maybe Zach Bryan was that, but like second.
I mean, the Mitski announcement and A$AP Rocky have been dominating my feeds.
Hmm. I mean, it's like, so I basically, I felt like this record had to be good because the last one, Testing, which I think is really good, but it was like really divisive. Um, it was like more experimental and psychedelic, and I think that A$AP Rocky's fans and critics were just like not maybe wanting that as much. And then, to go away, to not release an album for 8 years is just like an eternity in music, especially in rap. And then like the first single was Punk Rocky, which despite the name is kind of like an indie pop song. And so I think coming off of this record that was less of a rap record, and then the first single is like not really a rap song, I I almost felt like maybe you're making people a little worried. But I was like, the record's, it's got to be like really good. It's got to feel like a comeback. Like otherwise, this is going to be, one of those albums where you look at someone's catalog on like Wikipedia and you don't even realize that they released one that late into their career, kind of thing. And I think it is. I think Punk Rocky is not indicative of the rest of the album at all. And not one of my favorite songs on it, but there's a lot more to it. It's basically split into two halves. The first half is like pretty much all rap, and it feels like if you did want A$AP Rocky to kind of make a record that sounded more like the A$AP Rocky that he's most classic for being, like it's kind of all there. Although actually, I mean, I like the second half more, which is kind of more experimental and all over the place. I mean, the song STFU basically sounds like A$AP Rocky rapping over like The Prodigy. And that's probably my favorite song on the record. There's a song where it's like A$AP Rocky and Doechii over like some old school jazz. I think it's a Thelonious Monk sample. And it's just like super cool standout track. Jessica Pratt, who he has collaborated with before, she was on one of his non-album singles in between the last two albums, basically just takes over and does a Jessica Pratt song to end the album. There's like this one track that has Damon Albarn from credited as Gorillaz and West Side Gun on the same song. That's cool. Tyler the Creator's on there on one of there's like the album ends with the Jessica Pratt song, but then there's like, he's calling it disc 2, and he just keeps adding songs. There's 2 more tracks on disc 2 now than there were when it came out. One with Tokisha and one that samples Imogen Heap, and Tyler's on one of those are like basically called bonus tracks, I think, to the regular person. But who knows? I mean, maybe disc 2 is like gonna be its whole other album, and he's just gonna keep adding stuff to it.
This is now the third big rap song that Jessica Pratt has appeared on. 2 of them being A$AP Rocky songs.
Yeah, but was the other one was not rap, right? It was like Troye Sivan, right?
Oh, okay. Good point.
But like pop song, or if you're gonna call A$AP Rocky that. But yeah, like it's crazy how she's got this, like she kind of crosses over into people in the rap and pop world want to be with her and play with her, and she's like basically sounds like a folk singer from the late 60s, but
right.
Is current.
And it was like, did the A$AP Rocky, the first time A$AP Rocky released a song with her on it, come out like the same year as Kendrick Lamar had Beth Gibbons on his album, something like that? I remember thinking
it was 2 years later, I think.
Oh yeah, I just remember thinking how.
Yeah, there's definitely a parallel there.
Yeah, Eminem and Dido.
What?
Eminem and Dido.
Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, Dido is at least also pop though. Like that song that Stan samples was also already a single, like a big song.
True. Oh right.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I really like about this record too is that like A$AP Rocky was kind of part of that generation with Tyler the Creator and Kendrick Lamar. That was kind of just felt like weirder than the previous generation of mainstream rap, which I mean, like the fact that they even became mainstream rap was almost a little surprising because originally they seemed like these sort of more underground, like antithesis of what was happening in the rap mainstream. And then they just became the most popular thing. And I feel like he still has that like just utter weirdness all over this record, even on the songs that are just like rap songs. And it's refreshing, I think, to hear him just like keeping it real, being himself. Having Tyler on there, it goes. I think it's a nice companion with the music Tyler's been making lately. So it's all really cool stuff. Tim Burton's involved in case you aren't sure that A$AP Rocky likes weird stuff. Tim Burton's there to make sure you know. He designed the album artwork. He's in the new music video for the latest single, which is called Whiskey/Black DeMarco, obviously a Mac DeMarco reference.
A$AP Rocky said in an interview that Mac DeMarco himself almost made the album. He released a collab, leaked or something. There was a collab with A$AP Rocky and Mac DeMarco that at least, did it leak? Did it ever come out? Something like that.
I don't know the answer, but
they work together, and there's like a video going around. I think it's Popcast where A$AP Rocky says he years ago worked with Ariel Pink, John Mouse, and Mac DeMarco. Speaking of,
and Morrissey almost made the album.
Oh, right, so, Morrissey.
So it sounds like he cut all the correct people.
Quote correct. I was thinking, like you're saying, A$AP Rocky seemed like, and Tyler the Creator, they seem underground, and he's got these collaborations with indie rockers like Jessica Pratt and Mac DeMarco. I was thinking back to that show in 2011 I was actually at, which was in Dumbo outside, and I just looked it up to remind myself who was on that show. It was Teen Days, Chairlift. I remember Chairlift. I remember, Caroline Polachek's old band Chairlift, and A$AP Rocky on that same show. John Mouse as well played that show. So there you go. It's like, if you think, it's not even that A$AP Rocky is like seeking out these rock people because whatever the reason is now. I mean, he was on bills with these people.
I mean, there was the legendary 285 Kent show with Grimes.
Oh, yeah. Also on that 2011 show, Clams Casino, Fortet, Atlas Sound.
Clams Casino is on the new single that samples Imogen Heap.
Oh, there you go.
I mean, they always worked together. That like Clams Casino produced a lot of that early A$AP Rocky stuff.
Oh yeah, maybe their set was actually together back then.
They might, yeah, maybe. I mean, I do feel like on his own, maybe he's perceived as just as maybe like different than someone who just produces rap records. But yeah, I mean, I feel like he was so involved with A$AP Rocky in those days.
Oh wait, it keeps going. That 2011 show, Fortet, who's now huge, Atlas Sound, Bradford Cox's of Deer Hunters project, Company Flow played that show.
That's crazy that they were playing shows at that point.
Yeah, I mean, even then it was, I guess, like a reunion thing, maybe.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, that would have been before Run the Jewels. Yeah, because LP produced the Killer Mike album in 2011, so that was before Run the Jewels.
All right, keeps getting crazier. Florence and the Machine also on that bill.
Was this like, what was this?
Justice.
Like, what was the premise of this? Was this,
you just saw Justice sell out like 2 giant warehouses.
Yeah.
It was some weird sponsored thing called Creators Project.
I was gonna say, it sounds like a Fader Ford lineup or something.
Yeah. No, I was thinking it was put on by Vice, but I'm not sure. And I would have to keep reading, but it was the like Creators thing had some maybe tech tie-in. I don't know. It was like,
I'm not trying to come off like all millennial cringe, but like, I guess the present day version of that would be like Fear Dorian and stuff. But like, I feel like in that era, there was kind of it was more common, I think, that you had these hot indie artists and these rising, but still pretty small rappers all being kind of pushed by the same like indie hive mind. And like, you would get those Fader Ford and Pitchfork, South by or whatever lineups. Like, like we had Tyler the Creator on a South by show.
Twice.
Yeah, so like I mean, unless I don't know, maybe Fear Dorian is going to be headlining arenas in 10, 15 years, and maybe that's the new ASAP Rocky, Tyler the Creator. But it doesn't feel like it all exists in that same realm like it did then. But you know, whatever is the thing that's defining now, someone will tell me later when
And
it's
yeah,
in the pay, like when we look back.
and yeah, that show it did have something to do with Vice, and it was sponsored by Intel. I knew there was some big tech
Mm.
aspect there, but yeah, I mean, even though it was sponsored by Intel, Intel played way less for a lot of these artists in 2011 than they're obviously worth
Oh
now.
yeah. I mean, it's that's what I'm like. It is crazy. Just like I saw one of my favorite memories was like when all of Black Hippie was in town and Absol played SOBs, which is tiny, and then all of Black Hippie and ASAP Rocky were on stage with him. Like I'm
Including
pretty sure I
Kendrick.
remember being like feet from ASAP Rocky, feet from Kendrick Lamar in this 200-ish person venue, and it just blows my mind every time. I'm like, most of these people play. Like, well, the last time I saw Kendrick was at a football stadium. But like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously, like everybody starts somewhere, but that generation really felt like they were kind of like they had like a substantial underground period. It wasn't just that like they weren't famous yet.
Full Circle was the first time we saw Kendrick, that Vice party in South by.
I think that was the first time, but now I can't remember if that was before. Yes, because honestly, I don't know. I think that was the very first time. But yeah, that was like March of 2013, and Good Kid, Mad City had dropped in October of 2012, and it was the only album that mattered at that point, basically. So yeah, good times. Hey, speaking of Pitchfork, I like the new A$AP Rocky album. Pitchfork says it's a good record, a few issues, but worth your attention if you're into the band or genre. Maybe starts strong and fades a little by the end. Includes a few songs that don't move the needle, but also has a handful of outstanding moments.
To be clear, Andrew is not reading the actual review, but the new descriptions of Pitchfork scores that they put out there.
Yeah. So as you may have heard, you can now rate albums on Pitchfork, and you can also only see a small amount of scores per day, and then you get paywalled, and you have to subscribe to see as many as you want. And along with letting you add your scores to Pitchfork, which show up right there under the main score as a user review. I think the A$AP Rocky user score is 6.7, right? It's one less than the 6. It got a 6.8. I think the users said it's a 6.7. Anyway, but now they gave you this sort of like scoring rubric of like what each like what I read was 6.5 to 6.9. Is 6.6 to 6.9 is that's apparently what that is. So yeah, that's kind of out there now, and you know, now you can read all these things and get all these new thoughts of, so when I saw this record got a 6.4, they were saying it was pretty good, not great, some unavoidable issues, but interesting. Fans of the band or genre will get the most out of it.
It pained me a little that I like. What?
I thought a funny thing was Stephen Hayden tweeted like the description for 10, which is a masterpiece, one of the best albums of all time, will be culturally and aesthetically important many years from now in some way. And 9.1 to 9.9, which was a monument, an instant classic, sounds ahead of its time, sounds timeless, immediately belongs in the canon. Entire genres could be created in its wake. And Stephen Hayden tweeted like, what is the difference between these two things? And it's like a really good point. Like, I mean, what makes a 9.9 turn into a 10?
You also pointed something out, which is that they group 9 with the high 8s instead of grouping 9 with the 9.1.
That blew my mind.
We kind of, if we see it's a 9, it may as well be a 9.1. It's like, you know, kind of think of 9 more with the rest of the 9s.
I've also got a bone to pick with how come everything from 5 through 8, each number is like 2 categories. Like it's all 8.0 to 8.5 and then 8.6 to 9.0. But then 9 is just 9.1 to 9.9. So why is it the same description for a 9.1 and a 9.9, but different for an 8.1 or an 8.9, a 7.1, a 7.9. I don't get it.
Also, was this like some secret document that has been floating around Pitchfork that they give to reviewers and the team when you get there? Or is this just something they created last week because they realized they needed to make a guide for the people who are now signing up to put their own reviews in?
We need to get Ryan Schreiber on the show and ask him.
Yeah, and what does Ryan
If you
Schreiber
look at
think
like
about
the
this
Wayback
document?
Machine for like the old 90s reviews, I think they used to have like a scoring rubric on the site that was way shorter and snarkier than this one. But
Okay.
I'm sure that they don't necessarily abide by the 90s rules as much, Anyway,
And, whatever, rating art, putting a number on albums, controversial concept, but obviously a big part of why Pitchfork was popular and what everyone talks about with the reviews and question, most people don't actually read the review. They just look at the score, that kind of thing. But I feel like if we're going to, negatives of scoring albums aside, like part of the fun was kind of the mystery of like coming to your own conclusion about what a score is. And like Indigo De Souza just famously got really upset when she got a 6 point something, which now if you read what that means, it's like not that bad. But
which is what people were saying even then.
that's true.
But
People were
yeah,
saying that to her, but still, it is kind of true. You see less than a 7, you're like, oh, ouch. Sometimes, a little bit depends, I
Mhm.
guess, on what, or if you see a 6 point something and you thought it should have been doing way worse, I guess you think the opposite. But
I mean,
yeah,
I
the
definitely
mystery was
think,
kind of the fun. So it kind of
yeah,
ruins it, is what I'm saying, to put the description out there.
for sure. Yeah, totally. It feels, yeah. And I definitely think like below a 7 is kind of saying like, we don't really recommend it. Like that's how I'm still going to feel, even knowing that a 6.9 has a handful of outstanding moments.
Yeah. Now there's a lot of reasons to criticize the kind of letting people go in and add Pitchfork scores under the actual Pitchfork score. And I just feel like if we're going to be negative about that, one thing that really exemplifies why this is bad to me is they just reviewed Health's new album. Health is a band we like, and they put out, I think it's a 2025 album, right?
Yeah, it came out in this late December.
Right. So they just reviewed it. They gave it like a 7.2 or something, which is not a bad score, like we just said. But it now has, as of this recording, a 6.1 user review. And it's like very visible. So you click on the review and this assumes you can see it because, all right, so first of all, I don't know if you said this already, but their new paywall allows you to read 4 reviews a month. Then you have to pay to be able to keep reading more reviews past that. So assuming you haven't reached your 4 yet or you pay, you can see that Health now has a 7.2, but also a 6.1, like just a couple inches below it. You can't miss it. And I don't know, it feels like, why are you going to do Health like that? Like, really? Because, and
Right.
it even says it's only the result of 6 people. So 6 random people signed up to pay Pitchfork. And now Health has to have a 6.1 under the 7.2.
And it's like this always happens when you like gamify this stuff, which is essentially what they've done, where you're going to see people react in the opposite direction of what Pitchfork did. So like if people think the record is scored too high, you're going to see like a way lower user review. And if people think Pitchfork scored the record too low, you're going to see a way higher user review. And you're probably going to see stan armies infiltrate and get like some K-pop band to get a 10.0 or something. You're probably going to see like tweets or Instagram posts of like, if we all go vote on this score, we can turn it from like this to that. Just based on other stuff like this we've seen. And I mean, in a way though, it's also what kind of like we've kind of seen Pitchfork do with like Metacritic scores. Like you kind of see those albums that are like across the board getting 8s and 9s, and Pitchfork gave it a 4, and now its Metacritic score is like a low 7.
True.
And you kind of see, like, you kind of wonder, are you guys just like, nah, everybody's wrong about this. We have to like completely counteract what everyone is saying because they're nuts. We have to go so low on our number. Like, you're always going to wonder if that's part of it. And of course, you're never going to get answers, but you're going to think it.
So forcing you to pay to be able to rate albums there could keep stan armies out. So that's at least one benefit of the paywall.
You don't think Stan Armies will toss like $5
Well,
a month? I mean,
I am very sure that Pitchfork hopes they will do that. That's actually their business model is really going to pop off if stan armies are willing to pay to give those albums a 10.
and just going back to like your kind of, like reading is important, but we people kind of focus on the review. Just in case we didn't say this, the review score gets blurred out when you've hit your limit for the day. So it's like that feels pretty something, just to kind of like we're
It,
a
it
little bit
feels
like
usually a paywall. Your standard New York Times paywall type situation is that you can't read the articles at all unless you pay. So it's
or
kind
you
of
get
like
like, I mean, it's somewhat normal that you get kind of the first paragraph, like which the Pitchfork does. That's fine. But I think like overtly blurring out the score that you used to see, because also the other thing too is like a lot of publications put the score at the end of the review. So like Pitchfork always put the score front and center. And now they're blurring it out overtly. It's a choice.
no, definitely, and that's what I'm trying to relate it to. Like we said, some people just look at the score. They're making it very clear that yeah, you want to be that guy, you're gonna have to pay for it, which is different than saying we value our writing.
Meanwhile, another big announcement this week is Help 2, which is the new charity album that War Child is putting together. It's the long-awaited sequel to Help from 1995, which is like a classic charity album that had Radiohead and Portishead and Massive Attack and Blur and Oasis. Bill actually put it on his list of the best Britpop albums in 1995 for Brooklyn Vegan. So if you're not familiar with it, it's a classic. And now there's a new one coming out, and the track list is just ridiculous. Maybe the biggest news is that it has the first Arctic Monkey song in 4 years, which is out now. And we should talk a little bit more about that. It also, we love to talk about Olivia Rodrigo covering and collaborating with cool people. And on this compilation, she covers the Magnetic Field song. That could be her most indie deep cut yet. Would you agree?
Yeah, I didn't fact check that statement, but yeah, it does feel like that. And
I mean, it makes collaborating with Weezer, No Doubt, seem like, who cares?
no, totally.
But she also has covered Fontaine's DC, and Fontaines are on this, and they cover Sinead O'Connor, who was on the original, but they cover Black Boys on Mopeds, which is not the song Sinead O'Connor had in the original. Cameron Winter of Geese is here.
The
So
album's
James,
best get, honestly.
yeah, honestly. I guess we should back up. The album was overseen by producer James Ford. So a lot of these artists are people who work with James Ford. Pulp, Depeche Mode. There's a collaborative song from Damon Albarn, the singer of Fontaine's, Grian, K Tempest. Wet Leg is there. Black Country New Road, The Last Dinner Party. There's a collab from Arouge Aftab and Beck. Collab from English Teacher and Graham Coxon of Blur. Beth Gibbons of Portishead, who again were on the original.
Yeah, and they were on the original, and there was like a follow-up EP. Portishead was on both, and that Portishead song on the original wasn't even out yet at the time. It ended up
same
being
with
on
Radiohead. It was like a song that ended up on OK Computer.
Right, and if for Portishead, it ended up on their self-titled. Yep.
So meanwhile, I don't know where this Arctic Monkey song is going to end up, because I don't want to spread baseless rumors, but it circulated recently that the same insider who leaked the Oasis reunion said Arctic Monkeys are going to break up after this song comes out.
I really hope that's not true, because this song just got me energized for Arctic Monkeys again.
Me too. It feels like it's called Opening Night, which just calling it that just feels like, like the beginning of something, not the end, but, leave it to Arctic Monkeys to mess with our emotions if that is what they're doing. But the last album, The Car, was kind of like loungier and like almost not even rock, and this one's very much a rock song. To me, it kind of sounds like something that could have come in between AM and Tranquility Base Hotel and Casino. Like,
is there any chance they had it in the vault and just
I was definitely wondering if it was an older song that was never released or that was never finished or something. Like if it's maybe newly recorded but written 10 years ago, I could easily see. But it also doesn't just sound like I mean, I don't want to be proven like I don't want to say something totally dumb if it is end up being that, but like there's newness to it too, I think. And like there's these really amazing falsetto harmonies that are maybe the closest Arctic Monkeys have come to sounding like Steely Dan. So that's kind of new, I guess. But yeah, it's like such a good song, and it would be such an exciting first single for a new album. So knowing that maybe it is the last song we get from them is bittersweet, but
I'm
also if
not,
it is,
yeah.
then they're going out on a very high note.
If they are going out, they better tour at least again.
Yeah, they haven't played since October of 2023. So I think that's like, first song in 4 years is a fairly substantial gap, but also that they haven't even played live in 2.5 years. Like they feel like they've really kind of been away, and like, so it feels like like a long awaited return. So yeah, it would be nice if they really are going to break up. Are we going to get like a farewell tour at least?
Was their
Fantastic
last,
live band.
yes, was their last US tour arenas or,
They did Forest Hill Stadium in New
right?
York, but they did arenas when they were touring AM. I saw them at, was it the Garden or Barclays?
I'm
And
pretty sure Garden.
Deer Hunter opened, I think. Um,
Second Deer Hunter mentioned today.
oh yeah, it's Atlas Sound. Yeah, I mean they were great. They were like built to be an arena band.
When are Deer
Well,
Hunter coming back?
that's a really good question. Um,
This would have been the comp.
and the saddest thing though is that like I bet it won't even be that big of a deal.
Because indie is dead. Hardcore is
Yeah.
back. Indie is dead.
I mean, it's like I feel like it's like it's sad. I don't know. It's just interesting. It's interesting
Or
to
Deer
see.
Hunter shoegaze.
They were, but they don't get talked about in that context. And also, like, they're so much better than all the shoegaze revival happening now. Deer Hunter maybe aren't like as vibey as the kind of shoegaze that is kind of all the rage now.
Right. Because I was thinking, yes, it's sad that it doesn't feel like their reunion would be as big as you would hope. But then I don't know. I'm thinking of Dive. Not that they went away like Deer Hunter did or did. I don't know. But, it felt like Dive was riding that shoegaze moment a little. And
Well, the
shoegaze
irony is like Dive, they are like just they're vibey like that. Like Deer Hunter is like a lot more like complex.
well, maybe Deer Hunter's legend has grown. I don't know.
I hope so. I mean, they're I think one of the best rock bands of their era. Like seeing them open the AM tour for Arctic Monkeys felt so cool because it was like these are two of the best rock bands in the world right now. One of them is really, really famous, can play an arena, and one's not. But that Arctic Monkeys kind of recognized that and had Deer Hunter open. It just felt. I mean, the last Arctic Monkeys tour had Fontaine's open, and that was perfect too. And I think the Arctic Monkeys Fontaine's parallels are endless. But for them to open that tour right before they kind of became like the new Arctic Monkeys, pretty perfect handing off of the torch.
Totally.
So Arctic Monkeys song could be the biggest rock song news of the week, but there was a lot of good new music today and this week rather. So let's touch on some of it. We have been talking about being excited for the Courtney Barnett album, and it was finally announced. It's called Creature of Habit, and the first single, still on Sight Unseen, has Katie Crutchfield from Waxahachie on it, harmonizing with Courtney. That's a pretty amazing collab right there.
Yeah. I mean, Katie Crutchfield just keeping so busy as well.
Yeah, I mean, she was at the Wilco's Mexico Festival this past weekend with MJ Lenderman. They played together in Snowcaps. She sang with him. He was with he, in classic MJ Lenderman fashion, did like a million things. He covered Neil Young with Jay Mascis. He jammed the Ola Tango. But yeah, him and Katie are just.
Allison was just announced on somebody's album, forgetting the name.
Oh yeah, well oh man, the Morgan Nagler.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who Amanda reminded me co-wrote one of the best Georgia Max solo songs from recent times, which I had forgotten when that announcement happened, but she reminded me right after I saw Georgia play it live. I forgot to mention this earlier. Amanda and I went to see Georgia Mack at Union Pool earlier this week. If you're having deja vu, it's because we also went to see Georgia Mack at Union Pool. It's like 6 months ago. Georgia Mack being from Australia, but now living in LA and writing solo material, and all of a sudden playing shows at Union Pool here in Brooklyn. So that's a nice development.
Yeah.
Anyway, good show as always with Georgia. No Camp Cope songs, but she did play 2 new songs, which she said are going to be released soon. So stay tuned for that.
So maybe we'll be talking about her new album on one of these podcast episodes.
Very true.
But for now, we can say that Snail Mail announced their new album. It's called Ricochet. This first single is called Dead End.
It's been a while for Snail Mail.
Yeah, I don't remember how long it's been, but it feels like kind of a weighted return.
A weighted return, but it kind of relates back to what you're saying about Deer Hunter, because Snail Mail was supposed, when that first Snail Mail record came out, it was like a list topping.
Mm-hmm.
Snail Mail, and now I don't know. The Snail Mail's only this will be just their 3rd album in like a bunch of years, and
fresh off a Jeopardy reference though. So
that worked out well in terms of PR there. Yeah, but
I don't know. I think Snail Mail have that kind of like boy genius adjacent, like they seem more of the now, and Deer Hunter seem more of the then.
I wasn't even going there with like that kind of exact comparison, as much as like indie rock feels like it has more of a ceiling, and I do feel like Boy Genius broke through that ceiling in a huge way a few years ago, but I don't know if that's as true in 2026. And Snail Mail took so long. I'm wondering if people are like, the kids are like, who? I don't know. Anyway.
I couldn't tell you. I do know that they have a bunch of tour dates coming up, including dates with Avalon Emerson and The Charm, who also announced an album for Dead Oceans this week. And Avalon Emerson is like a DJ, but her band The Charm is more like pop music, I guess, like, indie pop music.
A DJ who often plays in your neighborhood.
Yeah, nowadays. She might be too big now, I don't know, but
pun not intended.
I'm missing it.
You said she plays in your neighborhood nowadays. And
oh, right.
Some people may have not realized that that's the name of the venue.
That's the name of the venue.
And not you questioning whether she still plays nowadays in your neighborhood.
Well, I shouldn't say for certain that she doesn't, but I do like her Charm stuff. The new song Jupiter and Mars is like this sparkly synth pop song, and she's on Dead Oceans which
makes her Boy Genius member label mate.
Right, exactly. I was going to say like Mitski,
unlike Snail Mail,
who is on
Matador,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Dead Oceans just seems to be where artists go to become some of the biggest indie artists. And so we've got, in addition to obviously Mitski, Japanese Breakfast, Phoebe Bridgers, et cetera, we saw Scal come from the hardcore world to more of an indie rock thing. And now we're seeing Avalon Emerson come from the DJ world. So we'll have to see what happens. An indie rock band that is probably more then than now, with all due respect, is the New Pornographers, who just announced their new record, The Former Sight Of. I really like late period or recent period New Pornographers, and the new single sounds like what they've been doing. It's really good. They made it with veteran drummer Charlie Drayton. Their drummer left under some very disturbing circumstances, but no Dan Behar from Destroyer on this record.
That's always disappointing.
Yeah.
We used to take for granted that we had Nico Case and Dan Behar Destroyer in New Pornographers, but these days, anytime something is announced, from a tour to an album, you immediately check to see if they will be still on there. Not unlike their Canadian supergroup brethren, Broken Social Scene, who are teasing something, and same deal. Like
teasing what?
Well, so Metric, Stars, and Broken Social Scene have been teasing something. Honestly, by the time this podcast comes out, people might know. I have no idea. But we're guessing a tour because it's 3 separate bands from Canada who are all friends and collaborators are teasing the same thing. So that would be pretty cool. And that would
and
also
that would
mean,
mean that Metric
right,
and
Amy from
Stars,
Stars and
yeah.
Emily from Metric would be on tour with Broken Social Scene. And that's where I was going with this, where they are both known to sing in Broken Social Scene, along with ex-permanent member Feist, who, same as like with Nico and Dan, he used to be like, oh no, Broken Social Scene Feist is no longer touring with Broken Social Scene, but Emily from Metric is. Or there's definitely been
Mhm.
times when Amy from Stars, Emily from Metric. They also have newer members filling in the female vocal parts, which you might just get those people. And I'm forgetting
Mhm.
their names, sorry. But anyway, it's a big time for Canadian indie rock, with Wolf Parade having a moment, New Pornographers announcing this album, and the Broken Social Scene Stars Metric possible tour.
Because you mentioned Wolf Parade and the song, Spencer Krug at a show since we last spoke debuted a new solo piano arrangement of I'll Believe in Anything, the song that went viral thanks to Heated Rivalry. So that was very cool to see. Nice arrangement. Apparently he'd never played it like that before. And if you watch the video that I think Sub Pop posted, it's cool to hear him kind of acknowledge that the song is like so massive now because of this. It's crazy, honestly. Just like,
And so well deserved, because, all right, so that's, the song comes from 2005's Apologies to Queen Mary album. And I just went back and listened to that album again. I mean, we had it so good in 2005, honestly. That album is so good.
I mean, I think, when we talk about like all this stuff, like, like can Deer Hunter come back? Like it's all they need is just like some reason to have a song go viral.
That's
um,
true.
it's like, I mean, the fact that like a whole new generation is into this Wolf Parade song because of this TV show. Like I would wonder if Wolf Parade were a band that like younger generations wouldn't care about. They seem like there was a tweet recently, right? That was like feeling like people don't take Neutral Milk Hotel as seriously as they once did. And for whatever reason that is, I could see Wolf Parade falling to the same sort of fate.
Right. Which is why we just said that about Deer Hunter. Yeah.
Right.
It just feels that way, except, so yeah, hopefully music supervisors, people who use TikTok, get on Deer Hunter, please, if you haven't already. It's totally possible that Deer Hunter are viral on TikTok and I don't even realize it.
A
But
good point, actually.
uh,
I'm going to see what their most streamed song on Spotify is. Let's see. It's, well, nothing really stands out. Their few biggest songs are all around 30 million. Agoraphobia, Desire Lines, Revival. See, I wondered if like one of their really vibey songs would have been, a TikTok song or something, but it looks like no. But
I
I
mean,
just think
Deer
it goes
Hunter,
to, yeah.
232,000 monthly on Spotify. It's pretty good for a band who's completely not active.
Oh, wow. I think that's like kind of sad.
Well, compared to Radiohead, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it just goes to show you, though, that like any music can come back. There's like a hunger for a lot of stuff, and it's like a matter of what you're served, I think. So,
Well, it's definitely sad compared to Wolf Parade. Whoa, they're over 1.5 million monthlies right now.
see, that's what I'm saying.
But I wonder what they were 6 months ago. New Pornographers, lower than Deer Hunter, just for the record. Okay, that's what I'm saying.
So, we also got an announcement of a split album from Lightning Bolt and OOIOO, unless it's pronounced a certain way. The two veteran noise rock bands both haven't released music in 7 years. And Lightning Bolt's new song Cloudcore is chaotic and crazy and noisy, obviously. We've been talking a lot about veteran thrash. Not only is Megadeth's final album out this week, but Exodus announced a new album, Goliath, and it reunites them with Rob Dukes, who they sang with in the 2000s. And I think it's the first single, 3111 or 3111.
Or
It's pretty
311-1.
Yeah, well, it is a number. It's about it's about a death toll.
You mean a famous number?
What?
You said it's a number,
Yeah. I mean, I
which
mean, I
obviously it's a
mean,
number.
oh, right. I meant like it is 3,111 is, it's not like,
It's not
it's,
311
right. It's not like a, like 420 or something, like, or a zip code. I don't know. Um,
Broken social scene, 750,000 monthlies. Keep going.
you'll be happy to know, you already are happy to know that Immolation announced their new album. You've been excited about it. You've been
I
talking
thought you
about
were
it
going
on
to
the
say I'm
show.
happy Exodus is touring with Biohazard and Tribal Gaze and
Oh yeah,
Sepultura, right?
right. It's
No.
Sepultura's final
Yes.
tour,
That's a good
which is like 2
bill.
years into Sepultura doing their final
Yeah, but
tour.
this, to be fair, this is like did they do a final tour here? They might just be
Yes,
hitting. Oh,
they
okay. Well, I
did. Yeah,
missed it. So well, say
it
what
doesn't matter. Hey,
it's
I think
current
that,
lineup Sepultura,
yeah,
but yeah.
whatever. Yeah, more bands should. I don't know. Like, I'm not going to complain a band is touring. I complain about the opposite. I just don't like when a band does a massive farewell and makes them play like a way bigger venue than they could normally play, and then milks it for 4 years, and then actually just comes back and it was all not really a big farewell. If anyone's ever done that. New Immolation, you've been talking about that. We got some Denzel Curry. He's got like this new group, Ferg, aka FKA ASAP Ferg. We're talking about ASAP Rocky is a member. Um, those looking for screamo should know that Numb Ears announced their debut album Directions. It comes out on Run for Cover, and also Summer Shade, which is an imprint of Run for Cover run by Madison from the band Fury, who also booked Sound and Fury. The new single Fade Away is awesome. It features Jeff Smith from screamo legends Jerome's Dream.
That's a great cosign.
It is a great
I guess in
cosign.
both directions, though.
In
really.
both directions, yeah. I mean, screamos. It's like just one of those other like multi-generational things. It feels like we're like, you got kids going crazy for Jerome's Dream and OGs being won over by Numb Ears and other bands in that world, like Versus Self, February. And we did a whole episode recently on Sugar coming back, and that's continuing. They finally announced a full tour. And a 7-inch with their recent single House of Dead Memories, as well as the new song Long Live Love. What else? Album announcements from Tenari Wen, BB Club, The God Fahim, Drayton Farley, Lone, Wendy Eisenberg, and
Sugar have lower Spotify than New Pornographers. That's all I'll say.
Well, one thing I want to say is kind of a good double feature with the new ASAP Rocky is the new I Don't Know album, or IDK. I actually don't know how he says his name, but it used to be J I don't know, or JIDK. Now it's just IDK. But it's like a mixtape, I guess. He's calling it a mixtape.
IDK either.
Yeah. It's called ETDS, and he's
What's
calling it a
that stand
mixtape. You know what? I don't remember, and it's not in my notes. But it's something.
Don't worry about
devil. The D stands for devil. But it's
Enter
he says
the
it's a
devil.
mixtape. But like inspired by kind of 90s 2000s mixtape culture. So I don't think like it's not like it's like this lesser project. I think it's just like kind of inspired by like a mixtape culture of yesteryear. And I mean, it's just I think it's like one of his best projects yet. It's got amazing features. Pusha T and Black Thought are both there. You'll appreciate this. There's a collaboration with Goldie, the 90s drum and bass veteran.
I also appreciate Pusha T and
of course, but
yeah.
I think
but
there's
yes, I appreciate the Goldie there. It's Even the Devil Smiles.
There you go. Thank you for looking that up. And yeah, there's definitely like a bit of a 90s 2000s influence on the music too. Again, there's basically a 90s drum and bass track with Goldie having Pusha T and Black Thought on there. Definitely nostalgic. RZA's on there. There's No ID and Madlib are among the producers. There's posthumous DMX and MF Doom material. I think the DMX stuff might be a sample, or maybe it's like a mix of a sample and something from the archives. But in any case, yeah, it's just like, I think it's a really good rap album of the sort of like, if you like kind of late 90s, early 2000s rap, but with like a futuristic spin too. It's not just like the full. It's not like boom bap revival kind of stuff. Um, but what is probably boom bap revival is the Rock Marciano album that I haven't heard and won't know and probably won't he be able to hear until it's out.
Called
Um,
656.
yeah. We've talked so much on the show about like all the MJ Lenderman adjacent like indie country, and one of the artists who influenced that the most, Lucinda Williams, has a somber new album called World's Gone Wrong. The title kind of says it all. The album backs up that title. It's very state of the world kind of record, very bluesy.
They just opened in the old Brownie space on Avenue A in Manhattan. They opened a club in her name called Lucinda's, and she actually played the opening, which of course, and she just played her record release show there as well. I missed both of them. I'm sad.
3 other records that are at least hardcore related are out this week, although only one of them is hardcore. And honestly, maybe none of them are hardcore.
And
But
maybe one of them didn't come out this week.
which one didn't come out this week?
Crush Your Soul.
It came out over the weekend, didn't it? Oh no,
Oh.
it was last. Oh right, it was Thursday of last week, maybe.
I don't know. I thought it was out for a minute.
Oh, thought it was. Yeah, it doesn't matter. But members of Blacklisted have a sludge metal band called Colossal Rains, and members of Refused have a jazz punk band called Back and Grillin'. And then Jay from Mind Force also fronts like multiple other bands, including Crush Your Soul, whose new album Ice Water is a lot of thrashy hardcore fun. I mean, riffs wise, it's like more of a metal record, but I guess because Jay shouts and because the people are hardcore people, it's hardcore. But like, you know, we keep talking about classic thrash metal, and like, I think this record should be on the radar of like all the Megadeth, Anthrax, Metallica fans.
It came out January 15th.
Okay, so it was actually the day we recorded our last episode.
Yeah. But it was like super not known that it came out.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest, Stereo Gum's post alerted me to it. And I think Tom had written like that the album was out, but not on Bandcamp. And he was like going to wait for it to be on Bandcamp before posting. And now it's like still not. So he's like, fuck it. Like, it is weird. Your record should be on Bandcamp, especially if you're a hardcore band. Now, I review all those records in notable releases, and you can always find more reviews in Indie Basement on BrooklynVegan.com. That better by Bill, including the new Hot Face, which is one of the bands taken under the wing of Dan Carey, who's also been behind stuff like Black Midi and Squid and stuff. And this band's pretty much like kind of like OG British punk. Actually, Bill in his review compares them to the Damned and the Adverts. And the Damned have a covers album out this week, and the Adverts ended up being the project Henry Rollins and Ian MacKaye were talking about, or Henry Rollins was talking about, that Ian MacKaye was also involved in. Like, we thought it was a collaborative band from those two, but it's actually an Adverts archival release. So I don't know if Bill was, you know, if he had the Damned and the Adverts on his mind because of the news when he made that comparison. But either way, if you, you know, interesting timing. And then Bill also reviews a new record by a name that I'm going to butcher that I should have asked him how to pronounce. Langkamer, Langkamer. And Pavement fans should take note. All right. Tell us more about the week's music news, Dave.
Before we go, Green Day will perform the Super Bowl's televised opening ceremony as if the Bad Bunny halftime show wasn't enough to piss MAGA off. A smaller version of Las Vegas' Sphere is coming to the DC area. Speaking of MAGA, the Beach Boys are finally giving their lost experimental 70s album Adult/Child its first official release as part of a new box set called We Gotta Groove. You hadn't heard of this?
You calling me out? So I'm like resident Beach Boys fanatic.
You ranked every single one of their albums.
Yeah, and honestly, I did not know about Adult/Child until this was announced, and I can't believe you're calling me out.
Are you going to go back and update our ranking of Beach Boys albums now that after you hear it?
Once it officially is out, that could be worth it, actually. Because I mean, I have Smile on that list because I made the list years after Smile was like officially released, and I'm like, you know what? It should count now.
Chuck D of Public Enemy revealed he has an album with Doors drummer John Densmore called Dope coming out on Record Store Day. Hopefully.
Typeset with lowercase do, capital PE. So I'm like, is that kind of like Doors Public Enemy or like Densmore Public Enemy? Like, you know, but I feel like the capital P has got to be at least.
No, it's a good point. Yeah. It'll probably stream as well, right?
I hope so, because I'm definitely trying to hear Chuck D's and the drummer of the Doors making a record together. Although I guess I just outed myself as I could just go pick the record up. I don't know why I would have to stream for me to hear it. See, I just keep getting embarrassed during this segment.
Well, usually, at least, this is separate from your point. We usually, at least when it comes out on Record Store Day, it then comes out wide probably later.
Right.
And that's just speaking of vinyl, I mean. But
right.
Probably streaming as well, I assume. Kyle Gass revealed that Tenacious D will return and that he and Jack Black have, quote, hashed it out after the backlash to Kyle's Trump joke. Again, speaking of MAGA. I was happy to hear, that definitely was a tough time for Kyle. In this Rolling Stone, he revealed all this in a new Rolling Stone interview that also promotes some of his own band's upcoming dates and things. So look out for those. Harry Styles has announced 30 nights at Madison Square Garden. People just keep breaking records. You know,
well, Billy Joel has reportedly called this rookie numbers.
Yeah, exactly. And Bruno Mars just sold more tickets in one day than any other artist ever when he just announced his tour he's playing, I think there's 4 MetLife stadiums here and then just like a million other dates. And right before that, we know Zach Bryan sold more tickets to one show than any other artist. It's just laughing that, we keep getting these people who keep making these big numbers for things like this. So Harry Styles, 30 nights at Madison Square Garden. That's crazy about Jamie XX, who should also be this busy this year with a rumored new The XX album, not to mention the XX being like really high on the Coachella poster and a few other dates. Big year for the XX coming up and their members. Free Throw have announced their new album, Moments Before the Wind, which we have an exclusive Coke bottle clear vinyl variant in the Brooklyn Vegan shop, brooklynvegan.com. And we've also gotten a new exclusive gold variant of that new Poison the Well album. And what I meant was a new variant of a hot water music classic that we launched yesterday in the shop. Over on the BV Interviews podcast, hopefully you subscribe to BV Weekly and BV Interviews. Then you already know that we have a new episode where Bill interviews Sleaford Mods. And there was a little pause on that podcast for the holidays, but we're coming back strong with Sleaford Mods. And, we're already been talking forever. So I think that's about it for this week of BV Weekly.
Wait, before we go, we're recording this on Thursday afternoon, and James Blake just announced his album, just in time for us to talk a little bit about it. It was actually, there was a teaser that went up over the weekend. I think he had a countdown site, and there was I actually didn't fully get the full story, but I think there was a clip of a song with Dave, not you, Dave, but the rapper whose name is Dave. And so that's on the record. The record is called, what'd you say?
Should have been me.
Should have been you. That's what I was thinking. But the record's called Trying Time. It comes out on Friday the 13th in March.
Mm.
And it also features the new single that's out now, which is called Death of Love. I know we both really like James Blake's last record from 2023 called Playing Robots into Heaven, which I think he got a little too pop, a little further away from where his sweet spot is, and that record kind of brought him back. And this new song feels like in that same realm that I love to hear him in. So I'm excited for new James Blake. And with that, I think we can actually say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thanks for tuning in. Dave and I will be back every Friday morning with new episodes of BV Weekly. And in between the episodes, you can always get much more from us at brooklynvegan.com, on all of our social media, including Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. You can pick up records from us at shop.brooklynvegan.com. And if you like what you hear, tell your friends about us, subscribe to the show, give us a good rating. all that little stuff goes a really long way. It really helps us a lot, and we really appreciate it. So until then, thank you again, and see you next time.